Hi guys, welcome back. I am so glad that you guys came over today to hear about what God was doing in my life. I hope that I can be of some inspiration or motivation to you through these messages. And if it's your first time here, I just wanted to welcome you and let you know that this is just kind of a social experiment that I thought I wanted to do. I really just wanted to take 1 year, 365 days, and document and record what God was doing, how He was changing me, how I was different yesterday than I was today. Because if anything, the world is always turning. I can't stop it, and none of us can. Sometimes we go through life and we look back years later and we see how different we are. We see the big things that changed and why, and the big scenarios that go with them and the storms that we have to go through, and you can pick those out. But daily we're changing, and you are not the same person you were yesterday that you were today. And I really wanted to pick that apart for myself. I know in the last 8 years that I have changed immensely as a person. There was things I didn't like about myself, and things I wanted to change, and things I wanted to be different on. And just my way of thinking, or my perspective of the world, or my perspective of life, I really wanted to be different because I felt like I was bred to think a certain way. And I have gone through so much changing, and I just thought it'd be really neat to actually document the change and to see every day like these little things that God was doing, whether it was big, little, small. And I really wanted to document that. If nobody ever watches it, or one person gets one thing out of it, it'll be so worth it at the end of the day. Let me preface this with saying I have tried to do this about 3 different times now. I think this is my 3rd time. And every time I try to do this, every time I try to document daily about what God's doing in my life, my whole life falls apart. Like legit, ridiculous. Like I can't even explain to you how much. It's not just like little things or big things or anything like that. My whole entire life falls apart. Then what happens is I end up going through weeks where I know that I should be doing this, and I feel that pulling where God's kind of whispering to me like, hey, I told you to do this, you need to do it. And I'll take notes on my phone, I'll document it for myself, and can't ever get it on film. I just decided that the enemy was not going to win anymore. There wasn't going to be any more excuses. And if my whole life fell apart, then I was going to document the whole thing. And legit, probably in the last 3 years, this has been the worst month to date. And I decided regardless that I was going to document it and that I was going to share it. And I was going to draw the line in the sand. I'm going to do what God's telling me to do. So the one thing you have to know about me is that over the years, before it was even cool, I was such a nerd. I loved superheroes. I loved the whole like fantasy thing. I just thought it was so fun. I love movies. I go to midnight showings. I went to midnight showings before they were cool, and I just love movies. So I have a tradition in my house where we always watch a movie on Friday night. That's just our tradition. We've been doing it for about 6 years now. So I was watching this movie, and in the movie they said that a part of the journey was the end. I think where I have to start is in the end, because we all have some kind of ending. Like we're all trying to get to some ultimate goal. We're all trying to get to some ultimate goal in our life, in our work, in our relationships with people. Like there's always that end point. Like you're always striving to get somewhere. And the most important part of the journey is the end. We have to remember to live our lives knowing that there's an end in mind. Even if you're not talking about mortality, there's always an end to a situation. And if you think about this, you can look outside and see that there is always an end. Seasons end. I think it's important to note that you're never gonna be down and out for the rest of your life. You are never gonna stay at the bottom. Even if you hit rock bottom, you have to go back up. There's no other place you can go. So it's important to note that when you start out on something, what is your end goal? Where do you want to end? And to know that if you're going through a storm, if you're going through this terrible time in your life, that it's okay, because storms end. I have never known it to rain for a month. Storms end, right? Clouds move on. And I think that's important for us to remember in life. That remember that the end is important, and there will be an end to this. Just like there's an end to everything else in life, there's an end to whatever struggle you're in. And at the moment, like, I feel like I'm in the storm. I feel like I can't walk forward. I don't know where to go. I don't know the right decision to make. And every time I try to make the right decision and take a couple steps, I feel like I may be making the wrong decision, and I just go back. It's like sand whirling around me right now, and I can't figure out how to step out. But I know that the wind will stop, and I know that in time things will get better. I think that's why it's important to note that even in the storm, that there's an end, that somebody else is in control and that I'm not. And then I have to give myself over and know that the puzzle is already put together, that I don't know why the pieces won't fit right now. I know that there's a bigger picture in mind, and everything is purposeful and everything has worked for good. I really felt like the first video I had to document, the first thing I had to say to you all was that the end was important, and that a part of the journey is the end. I don't know where this journey is going to take me. I have no idea. I know that I can't suppress anymore, that I have to do exactly what God's telling me, regardless of my life falling apart or being in like the most terrible storm ever. I have to push through, and I wanted to share that with you all, and for you all to know that I'm starting out this journey with the end in mind, with the fact that at a certain point, like, this will end, but that's okay. And I think it's just really important and really fitting that God kind of gave me this message, and it was all stemmed from a movie and then a really in-depth conversation with my husband where we looked at some scriptures and did a lot of things like that till pretty late in the evening, and he was like, yes, you need to say this. And I just felt like that it was so important. I really wanted to always leave you with some kind of scriptural context, and the scripture that came in mind was in Matthew, and I'll put it up here on the screen. And it says that it's Jesus talking to his disciples, and he's telling them to go out into the nations and to tell people about him and things like that. And at the end of it, he's saying, like, I'm always with you. It's okay, because I'll be with you to the end of the age. And I looked at this on a multitude of different translations and things like that, and I wanted to leave that with you, that start out with the end in mind, and remember that part of the journey is the end. So no matter what you're going through, like, there's going to be an end to it. And regardless, he's always with you, and I'm always with you. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, for coming over, for hearing the message, and I will see y'all in another brand new video. Bye for now.